Much, Flo. Good afternoon to you, and thank you very much for staying with us. We have seen scores of people returning back to work under lockdown level 4 regulations as normalcy resumes around workplaces. There's been an increase in hygiene and safety measures to curb the spread of the virus at many offices, and this means that whilst many large chain stores have been allowed to operate selling essentials under the lockdown, companies and malls have ensured that no entry will be allowed to people unless they are wearing face masks. So let's just get an assessment of the situation and for a discussion on this, on how your workplace might be different post-lockdown. We have Devan Moonsamy, who is CEO of the training institute called the CEO of I Can Help Africa Foundation Training Institute. And of course, thank you very much for coming through.
Thank you for having me, Colin.
All right. For a moment there, I nearly said I shuffed, but we will talk about it for clarity's sake. But let's just get an assessment in terms of how employees and employers adjusted to regulations. Is there any enough capacity for compliance in terms of setting up and complying?
You'll notice that many organizations, as you rightfully said, are now moving into an area or a segment where they're thinking very strategically about how to get back into the swing of things under what we're calling the new normal. And there are several areas that organizations are looking at. So CEOs are appointing the executive boards to go back into their various departments to look at fundamental areas. And we believe, based on what we've been seeing with trends from China and other parts of the world where they're recovering now very slowly from very long lockdowns, we could see that some of the areas that South African corporates may be wanting to look at severely, the ICT space, and that would mean communication changing quite dramatically within the corporate sector, as well as different spheres of business within South Africa. So we're saying that people will be communicating in a way that we've never seen them communicate previously. And this means that things like email etiquette and things that we're putting out in terms of communication while working remotely, poor email etiquette, as an example, will not be tolerated. So organizations are saying we are going to be focusing on Zoom, we're going to be focusing on Skype, WhatsApp, email, as people are now preparing to fulfill certain tasks and obligations from home.
So, as per occupational health and standard procedure, many workers who are not used to it will find it difficult to adjust. So how can companies engrave it in their minds to make it daily norm and regular practice as employees try to acclimatize to this new normal?
You see, the key words here is mindset shifting. So we're going to end up in a situation where many people are not used to this form of working. We subscribe to a traditional mindset. We go into the organization and we're used to a certain manner in which things are done. But now what we're seeing is that business spectrum is going to be changing, and this means mindset will need to shift. So as people start working remotely, productivity is also going to be influenced and affected by this. So we want to be able to maintain the same productivity levels by working remotely. So scorecards will change, deliverables will change. We'll also see that there will be some retrenchments and some downsizing in certain instances, as we've seen with many organizations. So role sharing will become part of the equation now. So if you were only used to doing one thing in your organization, don't be surprised if your line manager now asks you to do something else that was previously somebody else's key area or key responsibility. So this is the type of mindset shifting I'm talking about, aside from the fact that sanitizers will now become part of the culture within the organization, temperature testing and social distancing. So there's going to be a lot of paradigm shifting that's going to be taking place. And I'm going to encourage South African corporate people employed within the corporate space, as well as retail sector and many other sectors, to start thinking ahead in terms of what the changes are going to be looking like and how they can embrace it.
In terms of embracing this new way of doing things to many people who are not used to, like the daily normal. If you go to a mine and you have to turn up for your shift, there are safety procedures. So you have to adhere to them every day. And you go to a plant, say, for example, a refinery. There are safety procedures in terms of the OHS standard procedures. But when it comes to other companies where it has always been a norm that you just get in, swipe your card, or you just use your finger to access a building, how are those employees then supposed to act like they have been in an industry where other people have been operating normally before?
What we are going to see is not just within the corporate sector, but the retail spaces as well. It's going to become embedded South African culture. So when we say embedded South African culture, we're going to start seeing people within malls, within petrol stations, within using public facilities or ablution facilities. We are going to be seeing management of these business units now enforce a certain regulation or a certain standard in terms of how you enter the premises, how you leave the premises. So if people are suspect of having a high fever or a temperature, or if there's no sanitizing, then immediately that can be brought to the attention of the manager or the receptionist in that corporate, and they'll quickly fix it. So I know that most organizations are following suit. Although a tradition and a culture within the mining industry, this is going to now have a ripple effect on the whole country in terms of where we shop, the way in which we are entering our work environment, the way in which we're even entering our home space. I've even heard that people are wiping down different products that they're purchasing from stores. So this is the kind of culture we're going to be seeing as an overflow into corporate sector. Also keep in mind that some companies, like banks and other financial institutes, have asked their call center staff to now start working from home. And I know that their laptops have been upgraded with software, and now they're taking these types of calls. So we're going to see significantly less people.
Right. Devan Moonsamy there getting cut off. We apologize for that technical glitch. We're going to have to take a break. We'll be back after this. I'll be back in the next hour with more business news. Stay with us.